it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters, and we ain't got nothing to hide.
What up, and welcome back to Pregaming, Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, here with Sports Money. Appreciate everybody coming in today. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Just another, 2 weeks? 2 weeks away from Christmas. Can you believe it already? But it's a big 2 weeks coming. We have got all kinds of fun down the sun here. We've got college football bowl season in front of us. A couple big games to pop off here. We've got the NFL heating up. Popping games every day of the week, it's going to seem like here before we know it. The NBA's getting rolling. The NBA Cup will be finalizing soon. And look, the NFL. We're getting down to playoff weeks for fantasy folks. We're getting into the nitty-gritty now. The Eagles have locked up a playoff position. The Lions have locked up a playoff position. It'll be a lot of fun to see how it unfolds. What is this? What is this on my screen? Hope it's not a crack. I hope that's not a crack. Crack kills. It's a real deal. And then, of course, we've got the NHL. But a small card tonight. Super tiny card tonight, which is usually where we strike the bookies right in the mouth. And speaking of striking the bookies right in the mouth, had a fun Saturday stream. Appreciate all you guys and girls that came out there. 3,300 plus views, crossed over 1,000 subs, and then slammed that co-main event and made a boatload of money. So appreciate you guys that hung out with us there. It was a long one. It was over 7 hours. Crazy. It was like 7 hours and 40 minutes. Makes me tired just thinking about it. But you guys know the deal. We always have so much to do, and there's never enough time to do it. That's the double-edged sword here of 6 p.m. It's nice to get the late, great information, but it doesn't leave us a lot of time to go out there and execute against it. So we will do just that. It's going to be a short show tonight. I say that, I know I mean it this time. I want to get the same game parlay together for the NFL. We've got 2 of the 3 games in the NHL with some action. Those will pop off for 7 p.m. The Island game, the Toronto Raptors, New York Knicks. We got a same game parlay and a side in that game. So a same game parlay and a side. The same game parlay is about 29-1, give or take. Give or take a couple pennies. And then what do we have? College basketball. Just one look, small card. There's like 12 games total on tonight's entire sports slate. So we'll get into college basketball. We got a big headlining game out there with Abilene Christian and Baylor. We'll talk about that one. Then we'll move into the NFL. Yep, I did it again. 2 of 3 time slots yesterday. 2 of 3 time slots. Hit the touchdown parlay. We nailed that 1 o'clock spot there that I sent out to everybody on the community tab on X. Then came back and closed up shop with the plus 800, I think it was, for the Sunday night primetime game. So all we ask you guys to do if you want to keep seeing that kind of information is hit that thumbs up button. You know, only takes you a second. Takes us a lot of time to put these plays together for you guys. And it's the best way to show us that, hey, you're here. You're doing the thing with us on the regular. Help promote the brand across the market through all of YouTube so they all know where to find us. We want to be able to attract more sharp eyeballs like yourselves. The more folks that know that we're out here, the more will come in, the more money we should in turn make because they will share their best plays. So if you haven't done so, take a second, smash that thumbs up button, close the comments, hit the thumbs up, pop the comments back open, and then we'll get to work. Short card, moving quickly, not a lot of time to spare tonight. Did you do it? Did you hit that thumbs up button? Shout out to all you guys in the chat. You know the deal. The sharpest chat in the business gathers here, ready to share their best bets as we move into the evening slate. So get your pen and paper ready. And, of course, make sure you guys do put your comments in the chat so we can see what you guys are on And surprise, surprise, Jover likes an over. Joe T's taking the over in the Bengals Cowboys game. 49.5 is not too steep for Jover. He don't care. 49.5 is no problem for Jover. Shout out to Joe T doing the thing out there. And don't forget to get out there and look at the community tab, you guys. We showed you where it was last week. Continue to show you guys where it is. We did have a poll out there. The poll was for Sunday Night Football. Now, sadly, we don't take a lot of poll L's. And last night we did. So we're down to 22, 9, and 2. And I see there's no poll out there for this evening. So maybe Joe T can get that out there for us. But appreciate him sharing an over. NJ Striker says, let's get it, Mikey. There's Gonzo in the house. He's had a big weekend. And he's giving you guys more NHL action here as well. The model is heating up. I know for a fact. Shout out to Gonzo. Old E's in the house. And Gonzo's coming right in. Making some noise. He likes the Cincinnati Bengals first half and full game. You know we'll be talking about that one. Shout out to Joe Dub. He's rocking here. The Futon Bets is in the house. Likes Pono. Over 27.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He likes a Tage Thompson anytime goal. Says, let's get this cash. Buddy. Appreciate you, Futon Bets. AOD, all up the nips. Pimp Slap and Company, let's make this money. I appreciate you, my friend. There's Nasty Nate. Does he have the wrench? Does he have the wrench? No, he'd be blue. See, Nate, I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know what's going on. I'll put an email out there. I'll get an email out to them service folks. We'll see if we can figure it out. AKA the wrench. AKA the mechanic. Is Nasty Nate in the house, ready to rock and roll? Yes, he is. Let's go. Dana Delps here. Appreciate you rocking. Joe T. The Blackhawks and Rangers over 6. Gonna get real interesting for Joe T as he moves into some mid-season hockey form. Ron Young says, oh, let's get him. There's Juggler 23 with a Friday recap. 5-1. Saturday UFC, I posted Vikings -6, now 28-7. Last 35 plays posted on this channel. It's unreal. It is unreal, my guy. That's outstanding. Congrats to you, and thank you for sharing with us so that we can celebrate in the glory that is your hell of a run right now. Let's go. Shout out to Justin McCalvey, says sports money's money. Bo Jackson, the Toronto Whisperer, is in play tonight. It says the Raps are live tonight. The Raptors are live tonight from our guy, Bo Jackson. Bo knows. Bo knows. That's right. Let's go. All right. Let's go. Juggler 33 says, remember, a massive winning streak. You know what usually happens. Is the answer you keep on winning? Juggler 23? You know? I understand. I get it. I'm picking up what you're putting down, but I believe that you guys put the work in. I know you do on a regular basis. It just means you're rolling, buddy. It means you're dialed in. Let's go. It says, when can you get such high quality selections for free on this show? Why would anyone pay for picks? Support the craft. Support those that are doing this and trying to find those angles and edges is the only thought I can have. There's Robert McCormick says, good evening, Akira. It says, I have a feeling betting against the grain on the under could be a huge in the dollar Cincy game. I think Vegas is seeing all this money coming in and the refs will subtly keep it under. Man, weird penalties. Appreciate your contributions, Akira. It's an interesting thought. It's a real interesting thought. I've seen trends on both sides of it. Overs and the unders. Here we go. Juggler coming in. Monday Night Football games pitting non-conference opponents, AFC versus NFC. Home teams are 27-26, but 15-36 against the spread in the last 53. Home teams. Isn't Jerry World the home team? Am I reading that wrong? Home teams are 27-26, but 15 and 36 against the spread in the last 53, and then it's the play on the Cowboys. Wouldn't that mean fade the Cowboys? I don't know. Maybe I'm reading it improperly. I know when my guy's running hot and he's sharing a trend, I want to dissect it and understand it. Just like the rest of you guys. Shout out to Joseph Alvarado. Let's go. He's at Juggler 23. He's going to add Norfolk State -3. That's what we needed. Some more fucking action, man. It's when I'm coming in primetime slot firing off a same game parlay, there wasn't enough action to digest for the day. You can only look at the same game so many times before you're like, I can't see this game anymore. Right? You start, that's where you overanalyze it, right? Where they say don't overthink it. I'm not a big proponent in the don't overthink it game, but man, sometimes you just look at it too long. Tech B says, I'm on that over with Joe T. Teasing the over down with a chase touchdown. Shout out to Irish Kings in the house. Kirk Gray likes the over in the Raptors game. Ikiro says, see if the Dallas defense shows up and Parsons has a huge game. The under could happen if Burrow struggles. Let's get to it. I want to talk to you guys about that game. I think there's just such a easy play out there. Is it easy? Is it free? I think it's both. We're going to see. Dana Delp says Gophers +10 versus the Hoosiers. I like it. I get down with that. I like the first half over as well. Juggler says the last time the Bengals beat the Cowboys was 2004. Man, I was just getting into my Philadelphia experience at that point. Irish King says over 234.5, up a few points. Stop Geo's in the house says Shoemaker anytime touchdown +800 and a first touchdown +5,500. Kelly V's sharing the appreciation to Juggler. Stop Geo says good luck tonight, y'all. Mikey and Chad, appreciate you. Each and every stride's in the house. He's going to take the Bengals -5.5. This line has moved, but I'm not swayed. Good luck. And KB giving trends under Monday. When road teams a favorite, just like 18-2 to the under, but both defenses are bad. Just a trend. Shout out to googly-eyed ring girl in the house. There's my sweetie. Thank you. Bengals first half and full game. Burrow over 1.5 touchdowns. That's fair. That's fair. And I know Kelly V, I saw some of those numbers you were putting out today. Let's go. So sorry, I was super busy yesterday to get to the poll out there. Oh, you're good, dude. You're good. Just fucking with you, Joe T. KV says, Zibanejad, get a point. You got to check out Kelly V on X if you haven't already. She wrote these up, told you guys exactly what's going on. And I believe it was Zibanejad is getting close to goal 300 and assist number 400. I think that's what the number was. Or maybe I'm off to some degree. Oh, there it is. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, just finished reading the fucking text, Mike. Okay. There it is. Thanks, KV. Shout out to Big Show Picks in the house. What's up, my friend? It's good to see you. I hope you guys had fun on UFC Saturday. It was a fun card. Sadly, it was just a big slammer at the end there that got me to pay. I mean, it worked out. It was fine. It's made a boatload of money as we do, but it just took me all card to get there. There's a lot of fucking around. Find out. Speaking of finding out, Bama found out. How about this? Alabama, we got to finally move to a 12-team playoff because everyone's sick of seeing Bama in it, and Bama doesn't even get in it. That was glorious. Sad to see Penn State lost on Saturday, but they're in it, so that's all good for me. Let's keep Penn State rolling. And they're going to play smooth. Listen. Some of y'all had it wrong. Now, I was wrong on Penn State, but I was forefront and said I was a homer in that pick. Some of y'all thought SMU was going to go out there and bust up Clemson. I get it. You start listening to too many talking heads. That happens. What did I tell you guys? What did I tell you about that game? I told somebody about that game. I said specifically, as bad as that team's season is shaken out, They lose to Georgia right off the hop, and they were in a ton of close games, but just couldn't get on the right side. And yet, here's what happens. They control their own destiny. They can win and get in, and it starts the season off 0-0. You don't think Dabu Swinney told them boys exactly that? Maybe some variation of that? Smooth Mustangs coming into our conference for the first time? Stop it. Stop it. Right there. Stop it. That was the easiest play probably of the weekend. And you were getting plus points for it. Now, maybe the second easiest play was fading the Bills yesterday. Bad schedule spot. These things are real, you guys. Educational component here. When you just came off of beating the Kansas City Chiefs, now you're going to go travel out west to play a piece of shit Los Angeles Rams program. And then your next week, you got the Detroit Lions, probably the number one team in the NFL. Shout out to Big Show on the line. You don't care about this Rams game. And you're going to lay over 3 in the hook. Remember how undecided we were on Thursday night where we were talking about the Sharps? And why were the Sharps on the side that they were on Thursday? It was because of the hook. And then you see that 3.5 out there. Now, someone has said it's a tax because the Bills have been popping so hard. You got to look at these scheduling spots. Absolutely, it makes a difference. Now, the Eagles, minus 12.5, that was too many points. Way too many points for a Carolina Panthers team that's gotten rid of all the bad pieces, I guess. What are they left with here? Now the Jets and Dolphins. Interesting spot as that game shook out. Push. 6 points gets the push. Now that's what I expected it to be. Why? 3 points for the home team. They were laying a 6, means they're 3 points better than the Jets. They're at home, which means the Jets have to travel. And they won by 6. So it was a push, depending on the number you got there. But that's how those games are supposed to break out. Now, the Tennessee Titans, might have found themselves recipients for the shit list. Not entirely sure yet. I dumped a boatload. I mean, it was only $100 in hindsight, but Prentice to score a touchdown and Durden to sub in round 2. That was the 50K maker. We tried it, and then it went up to 60K. That Prentice number, I don't even think that dude got on the field. I don't even think he got on the field. I don't know what the hell was going on, but 2,600 drops down to 11-1 at game time. 11-1 at game time for Prentice. He didn't score. Didn't matter. Probably was busted when Durden didn't get it done. But that's pretty much my assessment. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs, shout out to a lot of you guys that were on this one, continue to find glory by taking a down Patrick Mahomes in the fourth quarter and expecting his team to lead to victory. Yeah. The doink. Crazy. And then there were some other NFL games that happened, but those were the ones that kind of stood out the most to me across the spectrum. I hope you guys made some cash. Take some of this information in because, not too difficult to click on a team and see who their next game is. Now, I'll tell you this. What do we know? Well, we know that the Lions beat you up physically. They wear you down mentally. And then they lose that following week. Well, who did the Lions play this week? The Green Bay Packers. Who are we fading right off the hop next week? No further questions asked. The Green Bay Packers. Who did the Lions play last week? The Chicago Bears. What happened to the Chicago Bears this week with a busted up San Francisco team? San Francisco went to the grocery store to find a backup running back because they got nobody left. And they got busted up 38-13. So circle them Green Bay Packers for this coming week. Not just in spite of razor sharp picks. We love our boy. But look, only one time this season has a team played the Lions and then won the following week. And does that mean in 2 weeks that I'll fade the Bills? Yep, it does. And we'll go on and on and on. Now, hopefully, somebody takes them Lions out in the playoffs. Because once the Eagles beat the Lions in the NFC Championship game, I don't want to have to fade the Eagles in the Super Bowl. That's just bad for business. So, anyways, let's get to work. Let's get to some business here. I'm gonna move pretty brisk, more brisk than I say that all the time, probably, don't I? But there's not a lot to talk about with these games. There's a couple of angles, there's a couple of identifiers. You get kind of the same ground rules in place as you start your capping process. And you can still aggregate some games to get involved with, despite the fact that, hey, there might not be 50 trends for some of these teams. Let's start with game number 1 here. We talked about this last week, and the Rangers in disarray. The answer was get rid of Trouba. Like he was the problem. Then you got Shesterkin, who wants to bet it himself. And then somehow he says, no, I'm just going to resign. Probably because he saw this 3.16 goals against average for this guy and a 90.8% save percentage and thought, man, I could probably lose money if I bet on myself. So he folded his hand. He signed his contract. Now, granted, 8 years, $92 million, just over $11.5 million a year. Making the highest paid goalie in the history of the NHL, but maybe he wasn't so believing in himself. But he did come back after that. 20 of 22 saves against them Penguins 4-2. That's the game that we were on the Penguins. I was on the wrong side. I was like, you're going to have to show it to me, Rangers, at a plus 175 price tag. I wasn't buying it. And a lot of that was because Shesterkin was struggling. 4 more goals in 3 of his last 5 games got him to 1-4. Now, are they out of the woods just yet? On the other side of things, Soderblom's going. And look, despite how inept the Chicago Blackhawks offense is, he's still finding a way to hold up a 2.46 goals against average and a 91.9% save percentage. Let's not forget the Rangers are 2-7 in their last 9 games as well. Maybe you can estimate where I'm going with this one here, but Connor Bedard coming into Madison Square Garden and a team that did catch their win, maybe starts to string some things together at 225. This is one of those spots where you have to ask yourself, do the New York Rangers belong at a minus 275, 278, 255, and guess what? 245s. Numbers dropping. I think it's a lower scoring game. The reason I think this is a lower scoring game is because the Chicago Blackhawks and Connor Bedard, when they're on the road against the East, are something like 85% to the under. But I think Shesterkin can play well. He's got that dollar back in his back pocket now, so that's off his back. And you got Soderblom that's been firing as well. And I think if we're going to see a 2-1 game, why not Connor Bedard comes out here and lights up Madison Square Garden and gets the job done for us? Now, I told you guys before, pay for a lot of these tools and technology to help us make informed betting decisions. This one, the Chicago Blackhawks, the bookies' sharpest concern, the Chicago Blackhawks across all sports tonight, the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, I say that with a grain of salt because hockey gets probably bet the least, especially of all the sports that are going on there tonight. Juggler23 says every hockey player wants to play in New York. Not me. I'd rather play in Pennsylvania for Philadelphia, but that's a different story. Shout out to Ricky Levine. Do you know what the Rangers' record on back-to-backs? Hit the like button. Let me see. I don't have that offhand. No, but let me see. I can tell you this. It's a great question. It's a great transition. There are some trends out there. Again, not a ton. But teams in the NHL that do have a rest advantage are in the driver's seat. They're 177 and 123 over a 300-game sample. Not tremendous, but 7-5 lost last night to the Kraken. Actually, I guess it was yesterday afternoon, right? That was the first game, I believe, on the day yesterday. Very suspect to lose in a high-scoring fashion despite the Pittsburgh Penguins win. That was Shesterkin's start. Then they sat him against the Kraken, presumably, to see him come out here and light up and stand on his head for the Chicago Blackhawks team, which does lead me back to the under. But road teams with the rest advantage, playing a team that's off a loss and on its 3rd game in 4 days. That is the New York Rangers. those teams with the rest advantage on the road are 72-41. That's beefing us up over that 60% mark. Jay Peasy, Bedard has 2 goals in his last 10 games. Both were in Chicago. All the more reason to come out to Madison Square Garden and turn them bright lights on. I'm on the Blackhawks. We don't need to belabor. There's a couple of trends that show you guys some of those 60% plus advantages for them Blackhawks. Let's roll on. Because I realized I didn't get these plays into BetStamp. And I got to get that done. Sabres Red Wings game. I don't know. Both those teams can fuck off at this point. You got huge money big like sharp bettors betting on the Red Wings. And I'm just assuming it's the number. These are coin flip spots, these Sabres and Red Wings teams. And the line went from plus 130 down to plus 107 for the Detroit Red Wings. 25% of the bets and 87% of the cash. 25% of the bets, 87% of the cash. 62% differential in the bigger bettors coming in on this Red Wings team. But I can't decipher if that's just between the fact that they're just not taking the Sabres at a minus 155. I suspect, as I say it out loud, that's exactly what's happening. They're not taking the Sabres at a minus 155 when you look back at what the Sabres have done recently, and it's frankly nothing, right? I mean, 1, 2, how many losses are they on in a row? Let's look. Let's look while we're here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight losses. 1, 2, 3. 5 of those 6 games have been at home. What a complete waste of a giant homestand. And who they got coming up next? The New York Rangers. Yeah, I don't want to get involved in that game. If I was going to take anything, I would take the Red Wings in the under. So I don't see those teams scoring. 7:30, though, the Anaheim Ducks will pop us into. Oops, what did we do? What did we do? Yeah, that one. Sorry, I didn't realize I didn't advance. Why didn't somebody tell me I didn't advance? The Anaheim Ducks are 10-12-3. The Montreal Canadiens are 10-14-3. And here's a little bit of a different situation. Different situation in that you got the Canadiens as home favorites at minus 141. You have 83% of the bets and 71% of the cash on the Canadiens. The lines moved 7 cents. It's not just like market adjustment because the Ducks line went from plus 120 to plus 136 as well. So you look at these two teams and, again, kind of shining examples of mediocrity. 2 and 3 are the Canadiens in their last 5 games. 2 and 3 are the Ducks in their last 5 games. So this is where we talk about that differential between these teams. What we have right now is coin flip in these two teams. And you see 83% of the bets, but only 71% of the cash. I know I say only. I know it's a big number, but for conversation purposes, it represents a 12% differential of sharper bettors, bigger bettors taking money on the Ducks. That's what I expect to see. You either got a team that's that much more dominant than the other, and they're going to go out there and lay the 1.5s, or you got teams that are in coin flips, and they're just going to take the price tags. And that's what I kind of envision is going on with the side in this game. As far as a goaltending perspective is concerned, I think this is where we kind of maybe can create a little bit more of an opportunity. We've got Doe still going for the Anaheim Ducks. We've got Montembeault going for the Montreal Canadiens. And Doe, despite having a shit record, it's not even that shit. 6-7-2. His team's bad, right? I mean, the Anaheim Ducks are 10-12-3. He's got a 2.72 goals against average and a 92.1% save percentage. Now, he's not confirmed, which more daily face-off problems. But on the other side of things with Montembeault, look, going 4 straight games, riding the hot hand. 2.89 goals against average, 90.5% save percentage, only 8-11. But when he gets hot, nobody gets anywhere near this guy. He leads the league with 3 shutouts right now, which is unbelievable. And, you look at this one overall, big favorites are these Canadiens. The Anaheim Ducks just aren't scoring. 9-2 in their last 2 games, and they're on a 2-game losing streak themselves. Paints the picture for me as we look at these goaltenders. I'm not going to get involved in the coin flip. I will take an under 6.5. I will take it at -120. And I will take that shit to the bank because I think we see another low. I think all 3 of these games are low scoring tonight. Now, would it surprise me? Now, here's the thing. Like, a lot of guys getting into like year 2 and stuff in the NHL, but the beginning and the end of the seasons, bookmarks for a reason. Then he gets squished in this middle, and they don't have juice pucks. It's not like baseball, right? In fact, what they have done is they changed the goalie pads. If you guys don't know this, they changed pads, they changed net size, they changed the rules in front of the net, they changed the size of the goalie's crease, they changed the box around the side of the goalie's crease and the ability for the goalie to go around the back of the crease. All of those things can't touch the puck behind the goal line situations outside of the crease. All of that's to enable more scoring. So as a cautionary, let's just put this one out there for everybody right now. You've been seeing a lot of high-scoring games. Wait till attrition sets in. There's a reason that they had to make all of those changes for scoring in goals. They had to get rid of the trap because there was just too many unders. And we're going to start to come into that point of the season as we move forward. Speaking of unders, I didn't want to miss the opportunity, and hopefully I didn't. We can talk about it for a second, right? How about the Colorado Avalanche? Silently rebuilding their goaltending situation from the ground up mid-season. I didn't want to take the opportunity, speaking of getting scores and less scores out there, to mention, in this case, Mackenzie Blackwood moving his ass on up. He's going from the San Jose Sharks. Now, Mackenzie Blackwood's been either the number 2 or just in a series of teams in bad positions. And so he's been kind of traded around like the old proverbial puck bag of the NHL. Giovanni Smith and a 5th-round draft pick in the 2027 draft to the San Jose Sharks. They did get rid of Georgiev. To make the deal happen, the Colorado Avalanche had to eat 14% of Georgiev's contract. He's so bad that even though they're making a trade and offering up Kovalenko, a 2nd-round draft pick, and a 5th-round draft pick, they said, no, we still got to eat some of that dude's salary. He's just too expensive. And so the Avalanche are doing it happily, willingly. We'll see if that's going to impact some of that scoring because we know that the Colorado Avalanche have been a monster team to the over at home when it comes to scoring. So interesting notes in the NHL. Irish King likes the Ducks. JP says, I thought it was Gibson. Maybe it is. Ricky Levine says, Trouba. I'll tell you what, I'd like the Trouba to score a goal tonight angle. Rocco Gudis is a piece of shit. Irish King. I saw him play in Philadelphia. He wasn't that great. I mean, look, as far as defenders go, and can you start to change the organization from the back forward? Yeah, you certainly can. But I like Trouba. Look, especially with everything that's going on, Trouba's going to wear 65. Why 65? Because it's in honor of his parents. When everybody else calls you a scumbag, you go home to mommy and daddy, and they give you a little bit of love. They throw his arms around him and say, hey, you're not as big a scumbag as the Rangers made you sound like. But he's going to wear number 65 in honor of his parents because they were both born in 1965. There's a little trivia question if anybody asks you guys at a bar. I think we'd be a tremendous trivia team. Let's go. Knicks and Raptors. Moving on up. Big line movement. Knicks open up as 4-point road favorites. They are now 7s and on up to 7.5. Very interesting note. 7.5. Now, some would ask, has this line come too far? Has it gotten too wide, sub? 229.5 is the total. It's moved on up to 232.5 with 86% of the bets and 88% of the cash. The Island game is in play here tonight. And, overall performances, looking at these two teams, big factor, 14-9 are the Knicks, 7-17 are the Raptors. We know when the Raptors get towards that double-digit dog position, they like to cover. They cover a lot of spreads as it is to begin with, and now they're in an Island game situation. They've gone 3-1 covering the spread in their last 4, despite going 2-2 overall. They lost. This is going to be their 5th straight home game. 5th straight home game. Bruce Brown is out. Everybody else is playing. It's going to be interesting to see the flip side with the Knicks. They've got Karl Anthony Towns is questionable. Cameron Payne is questionable. And then you look at the Knicks team here, and they were running. They were gunning. And this is important to note because they came off a loss. You know, and look, we talk about this all the time too. Another little trending spot for capping games. We see a team's got, 3 or 4 straight. Usually the numbers 3 plus, right? So meaning anything over the 3rd game in the schedule. So the Knicks had 4 straight road games or 4 straight home games. That's the over the 3 mark. Usually because 3 is kind of like, unless you're like 3, but you had 1 road game and you had 3 home games before that. If you start to establish a string, think about how comfortable, how complacent you can get. And what happens? They certainly weren't looking ahead to the Raptors, these Knicks, but that last game, that 4th straight game at home in a row, they take the L, 120-111, 8-point favorites, 9-point outright loss, 17-point margin. And the Raptors are just bad. What do you want to say? No, they cover. They do cover spreads. Here's the way I'm approaching this game. I popped right off. Now, I'll tell you this right from the get-go. I'm taking the Knicks. I'm taking a -7. It does make me a little nervous that, we're seeing the Raptors who like to cover a lot of spreads, but this line's continuing to move. It's continuing to catch steam. So, in my mind, that's telling me, despite the early movement that we saw, those 3 points, there's still money coming in, thinking that there's value on this Knicks side of things. And, when it comes down to one of our favorite spots, what do we look for? Bounce back positions. Mention that 4 straight home games for the New York Knicks. And where's the bounce back position line for this team? Well, good covering teams at home, bad covering teams on the road. Nope, that's not it. Ended the homestand on a bad note. Ended your homestand on a bad note. Just lost to Dallas after 4 straight games. 138-88 for the bounce back, 9 of its last 10 for them New York Knickerbockers with correlated line movement. This is that bounce back. A little different bounce back, but it's an understandable spot. Sometimes we have to look at the line and say, can we explain those results? And I can explain that Dallas spot. Look, you were just at home for a long time. And it's not like you were home in fucking Milwaukee. You were home in New York, in Madison Square Garden. Come on. The entertainment capital. Get out of here. I'll take the Knicks. I'll run with these Knicks. I love that little bounce back position for them. Here's the 10-game parlay. I'm going to leave this up on the screen for a minute because it's a little bit juicy there. So I got a couple of spots to me that came simply out of like some what's the word there? The pillar positions, I guess, or core positions is the word I was trying to search my database for here. My brain is trying to come up with the damn term. But there's some core or some pillar plays, and then I added some line movement stuff around them. So I'll talk to you about the core and pillar plays. The team total under for this game, it was a sharp report. The sharpest look report there that the books are most concerned with big bettors coming in. They were concerned about the under in this game. Now we've seen it rise. It's gone up 3 points. But they're predominantly concerned about the under for the Toronto Raptors. They think that the Toronto Raptors probably come out here and struggle to get to that triple-digit mark on the board, which kind of ties back to me seeing the Knicks bounce back and beat these boys up. I looked at Scotty Barnes. I got 2 Scotty Barnes plays, 3 Scotty Barnes plays in here. It's pick on Scotty day. Where the Raptors go, Scotty goes. Or where Scotty goes, the Raptors go is probably the better way to say it. Meaning, we see when he gets hot and goes off, well, he typically puts the Raptors on his back and the whole country of Canada and rolls around with them. That being said, though, by the numbers here. Let's look at the rebound numbers. The big one for me is that the New York Knicks allow the fewest rebounds of any team in the NBA. Just 48 rebounds a game. And we're seeing that this thing is getting juiced to the under, on its way down to 7.5. Also, Yeah. Think about this. 5 of his last 10 games have gone over 10 double-digit spots. And yet here's an 8.5. So this is kind of learning like we talked about the other day. We see these guys are getting pegged on the number all the time, and then all of a sudden they come in and they're giving us a low spot. They're giving us an 8.5 as opposed to the 9.5s that we're accustomed to seeing. So I want to get in there and fade away on Scotty Barnes. I thought that was the right spot. I looked at another spot that's a pillar play for me was Jalen Brunson. 20-plus points. 20. Now, look at this guy's numbers gotten steamed, by the way. It was 25.5, then 26.5. Now it's sitting at 27.5, so it's gone up 2 full points. I don't want to steam chase that now to 27.5, but I'll tell you, he's gotten 21 or more points in 9 of his last 10 games. Should be a good opportunity for us to pivot around that core. So tapping into the sharp concern for Toronto's team total under, Scotty Barnes choking his nuts up, and, of course, Brunson doing what Brunson's been doing. Then I flapped in Podol. I saw our guy was on Podol PRA. I love that spot there, the over 13.5. That's steaming up, by the way. Now that book is moving to 14.5s. And then OG Anunoby, 5+ rebounds. Just kind of fitting there. Little steam spot coming in. Early indicator showing that was going to move to 5.5. So kind of teasing that down, that hook to get it in our favor at 29-1. John C. says they're playing. Yeah, I mean, I get it, John. I get it. But here's the thing. Not that I'm a professional athlete. But you don't get ready for a game by not playing as hard as you can or trying to beat somebody and work on some new things. Now, might they be working on some different things to get ready for their opponents? Maybe. And could that affect their play? Sure. But you don't want to roll out of town and take a couple of L's and move into a tournament on a big L. Hell no. You want to go out there, you want to lock them down, play some defense, and maybe I'm on an island. Robert Franklin says Barnes over 18.5 rebounds and assists. Bo Jackson says, I want nothing to do with this game. Even as my season ticket listed for tonight for $50. It's one game. What are we going to do? We're going to take a swing at it. That's what we're going to do is we're going to take a swing at it. Just try to have a little fun with this one. It looks like Brunson's going to have a big day, and it looks like Scotty Barnes is going to have a shit day. And so that coupled with the line moving in that direction, to me, says it's got to be a New York Knicks spot. But hey, to each his own. I'm just sharing some of my action and how I approached it to try to craft that little number out there. You see the Knicks -7 as well. Let's go on to college basketball. 2 games left. We'll get up out of here. Somehow we're still there. Get going. The blueprint for the show is an hour. No matter how many games there are in here, it seems like. But let's move on to this game here. Let's move this over there. Not a ton of games. Yeah. I kind of like that Norfolk State spot that our boys putting out there for us here. That line opened at 2.5. It's moved to 4, now 4.5. The spot I'll tell you, I jumped in on here. I took Baylor. In the first half at -14.5. They're playing Abilene Christian. You look at the numbers, and 6-3 Abilene Christian. It's not Naylor. It's Baylor. It's 5-3. That's my fault. That's a typo, clearly. Put that back up there like that. 20.5 is where this number started. It's moved to 24.5, and now, even despite this show starting with an 8 p.m. start, it's continuing to move. And it's a big-time reverse movement. You have 87% of the bets. You have 90% of the cash on Abilene Christian. Totals kind of ping-ponged around. It's kind of oscillated a little bit. 47% of the bets on the over. 51% of the cash on the over. And yet, we're really not moving. 141.5. Just keep in mind the opening number was 141.5. Whatever you can find, however you want to play it. There's 142s out there. There's 140.5s out there. Pretty much a coin flip on this side, or on the total. If I had to lean on the total, I'd lean to the under. I specifically think Baylor will kick the absolute shit out of Abilene Christian. And we'll talk about some of the X's and O's in a second here. But I took, first of all, 6-3 Abilene Christian coming in. And you're looking at 20.5 has moved up to 25s, even 25.5s now. The books are expecting him to kick the shit out of him. Now, have we seen these numbers get to be a little too much? Yeah. Where do those numbers start to become a little too much? Late in the second half when they start bringing the scrubs in and they're already kicking the shit out of a team. There are other teams asking for mercy, trying to tap out, and they just want to get out of that game and move on to the next. Now, reason why I wanted to jump in on Baylor in the first half. They just had a big loss to UConn, 76-72. Now, it was at UConn. We were on UConn. That was the opportunity for UConn, who struggled on the road over that little stretch, to try to come back and get things right against the top 25 program in Baylor. And they did. Now, it wasn't glorious. They were getting 3.5, and they covered by 4. So, or won by 4. So there was a slight cover in there. But, or I guess a non-cover by the hook. It leaves a bad taste in the mouth is the point. And they haven't played in 5 days. So Baylor's been sitting around, now back at home, after having played the likes of San Jose's, Tennessee's, Connecticut's, pretty decent competition. And they're going to bring Abilene Christian into the house, who's been on one of the longest road trips in college basketball to start the season. So we just picked apart some of that, what happens when they're on the road as long as they are. And what do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight road games. This is 6, and they have one more against East Texas A&M. But that's not until like right before Christmas. So we're going to get everything they got. I just think this is the problem where they're going to stand on the tracks and the train's coming through. You got a pissed off team that's ready to rebound after having that bad taste in their mouth. They're going to come out hungry, fired up. The starters are going to give you everything they got, their perimeter shooting, their defensive ability as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see Abilene Christian in this first half barely get to 20 points, literally. I expect this defense to profiles very nicely against this ACU team. And I think that taste in the mouth, the reverse line movement, that now is 25.5 points too many. I think it might be. You know, at this point, we've seen that number move 5.5 against the total. Would it surprise me that Baylor was up 20 at halftime and then the game ends up, they win the game by 25 and they don't cover this current line? No, that wouldn't surprise me. Just think that with the scheduling, the way it worked out, and a team that's tired and battle tested, but road warriors in Abilene Christian here, now rolling into a pissed off Baylor spot. It's not a good spot to be here. I think Baylor starts on them early. I don't care about the rest of the game. Just get me in, get me out, give me my money. And let's roll. Shout out to Morgan Spooners in the house. Baylor has injury bug. Yeah, it's all, yeah. I mean, look, with all due respect, I don't care about the injuries. I haven't cared about injuries for over 2 years. And you know what? You want a further example? Here's a blind tail or a blind cat. I saw that LeBron James was out last night. I didn't even look any further. I just laid the 7 points with the Lakers. Then I live bet him at 5 points. That's how little the injuries matter to me because they're in the line. And, you know, last year we, in jest, talked about some cappers that, you know, couldn't make their final plays because they had to wait and see what the lineup was like. Well, look, the fact that we know they're out, we know that there's issues with this Baylor team, and we're still seeing 25.5s. Now, again, where do I think that makes a difference, Morgan? I think, to me, it's that second half when you got to go to you're depleted in depth and bench. That's where I think it becomes a little bit of a factor. So maybe as a whole, for the full game, it would matter to me. But, I mean, we'll see. That's why they got to play the game. But certainly appreciate the comments. I you know, love to see the injury news. Just very, very little that it's going to make an impact on. Like I said, I'm the guy that blindly took the Lakers last night. As soon as I saw that LeBron James was out. That's all I needed to see. And, you know, general public's going to sit there and general. I'm not saying you guys, but I just, in general, what are they going to say? Oh, LeBron James is out. I got to take the other side. Kind of feel like that's what we have a little with this Baylor game. So we'll see. We'll see what it does. But respect. I appreciate you guys always filling in the updates on the injuries, especially the late ones here. You know, because as I'm doing the show, sometimes I don't get a chance to see them. So I want to make sure that we do. And speaking of doing the show and getting a chance to see him, the Sharp Report is in. All right. It makes sense. It makes sense. The public prop fade is Jamar Chase in this Bengals-Dallas Cowboys game. And I can totally get down with that for 2 reasons. One, I've got Jamar Chase on my fantasy team, and anytime I'm in a primetime game, my guys never perform. But 2, T. Higgins is fired up, and his target usage is equal to, if not greater than, Jamar Chase over the last 3 weeks. And if you want some validation points, look at Jamar Chase's production. Has gone down, down, down. They settled their little snap. I don't know why Cincinnati didn't want to pay their wide receivers. That doesn't make any sense to me. You got Jamar Chase. He was holdout. Remember, he was a holdout in training camp? Wanted to get his money. Wanted to get paid. They didn't want to pay him. They shit-canned Joe Mixon, let him go. And then they're going to fuck around with T. Higgins on top of it? Well, who else you got? Where are you putting the money? It's not defense. What do we see with that Steelers game? It's not the defense out there. This line opened up at +1, way early look ahead. It's moved to -4.5. Again, if you can justify the movement, the early look ahead to now is simply because of the injury bug that's been the Dallas Cowboys, right? 48. Now, I'm not saying that that's influencing my cap in this thing. I'm just saying that's why we can justify and explain the movement from the +1 to 4.5. It's not like 5.5 points happened through osmosis. There was some hardline evidence for it. 71% of the bets and 83% of the cash have moved to the over, and it's 48.5 to 50.5. So we've got correlated movement there. We've got the 2 points of movement. We know it's in the dome, so we know weather doesn't make a difference. Jerry World. The question is, what will the refs do in Jerry World? I give you guys all kinds of trends. All right, we can start with some of the X's and O's. Right, let's talk about it. Dallas, as a dog of less than 9.5 points and a total that's over 44. Not a huge dog with a spread saying there should be some points. 0-12 against the spread. And losing by over 14.5 points a game against the number in those positions. Well, what does that tell us? They're a dog to a team they're competitively balanced with, and they're expecting points. And the Cowboys can't deliver in those positions. Now, to the injury point, take out Dak Prescott and stick in Cooper Rush. Are you more inclined or less inclined to believe that when it's a team that they're competitively balanced with in a game where they're expecting points, that the Cowboys have a really good chance to stick in this game? That's what we're really talking about with this thing here. Put all the narratives. You want to talk about some primetime narratives? The dog roll at home with Mike McCarthy in primetime's never won a game. Never covered a spread. Home teams aren't scoring if their opponent's not on an understreak and they were pinned deep more than once last game. Home teams are 22-4 to the under if the opponent's not on an understreak and they were pinned deep more than once last game. Meaning, pinned deep, obviously they had a lot of field that they had to work with out there. They had to go the distance, 99 plus yards. And being not on an understreak to me means, you're not buying high, right? You don't want to take unders when the team's coming off of 3 straight unders. That's where you start to look for the over. And of course, we've got 3 straight overs for the Cowboys. We got 5 straight overs for the Bengals. They've been scoring. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals, 9-0 to the over after a game as a home favorite. They go on the road. They produce. Dallas team that can't produce points, getting blown out. Cincinnati team coming off a home game. Now, do you think they're pissed off that they lost 44-38 in a shootout to the Pittsburgh Steelers? Yeah, probably. Here's the thing, and I talked about specifically this college football season, and I talked about that Clemson and SMU shit. Because I felt like this game matches up not saying that the Cowboys are like an SMU. I'm just saying that the Bengals have been so goddamn close all season long and find a way to continue to come up with L's that at some point, the luck factor has to swing the other way. Unless they're just completely cursed. They took a piece of the black lava rock from a trip to Hawaii and can't figure it out. And that's exactly what we saw. 37-17 to Philly. They bust up Vegas 41-24. Then they play Baltimore. They lose 35-34. Cowboys, on par with Baltimore or not? And they were in Baltimore, 35-34. 6-point dogs, cover the spread, Baltimore. Now, we know that the Eagles busted up Baltimore recently, but Cowboys, true or false, not as good as Baltimore. True, circled, highlighted, underlined, the whole thing. Then you got the Chargers. They lose to the Chargers 34-27. We saw the Chargers just go down and take that Kansas City team who's been setting the NFL ablaze with championships. Is it 9 straight divisional championships in the AFC Central, I believe. On top of that, that winning streak that they've got all fucking season. Chargers cover the spread against them. True or false? And by the way, Chargers with a gimped up quarterback the entire second half of the game. Remember, he came out the last 2 minutes of the first half? Guy restricted his movement and mobility. He came out in that second half. He covered the spread, almost won the game. Cowboys. As good as the Chargers? These are rhetorical questions. Obviously, you guys can't answer. And if you could, I wouldn't give a shit. Because I'm asking them in such a way that I'm giving you the answer. I'm the ultimate guy to take a test with. I'll give you the answer as I ask you the question. 44-38 against that Pittsburgh team at home on top of that. Now, this goes back to Clemson and SMU. Why was it such an easy play to get in on Clemson? Because all the shit that went wrong in their season, and yet they were right there in a position. Now, the Bengals aren't right there in a position to do shit. They're sitting at 4-8, right? But, overall, you got to come out fired up to take advantage of this team. If you're going to beat anybody, this is the team for you to go out there and beat. Why not them? Why not now? They got Tennessee next, so there's not really a look ahead. They're pissed off about that. Now, could there be a little hangover? Maybe. And that's why I took the full game, not the first half. Because maybe there is. Maybe they do start a little slow. I just can't see a world in which Jerry Jones and company comes out here and snuffs these boys. You want to talk about some other trends? I'll give you some more trends on top of that. Let's see. Let me see. Do you need more trends? Do you need any more reason to consider it? Probably not. Let's just leave it at that, huh? Let's just leave it at that. And it's because I can't find them. Otherwise, I would give them to you. On top of that, though, I did pair together the touchdown parlays. Very important that you recognize these two. So I went Tolbert and Higgins. I just mentioned Higgins and his production pacing that of Jamar Chase. In fact, outperforming that pace in his last 3 weeks, particularly since they've kind of settled all the, you're not getting traded, you better just fucking get used to playing here and help Joe Burrow win. He's been in that position doing it. I went on the other side with Tolbert. I like to get 1-1, as you guys know. That's 11-1. Now, I added a standalone play at 11-1. And it's Tanner Hudson. Why? Who? Huh? Well, at the end of the day, what we see here is the lack of effectiveness. Now, tight ends don't go out there and gobble up the Dallas Cowboys. Unless you're, Dallas Goedert. And you're making Diggs look so bad that they got to go out there and cheat and hurt your ass. Only tight end that really had any progress or success this season. But when they get in the red zone, it's a different situation. 6 tight ends they've allowed to the tight end. 6 touchdowns they've allowed to the tight end this season. 6 of them. So why is he not in the parlay? Because he's the same price as the parlay. So taking a unit, busting them up between those two, maybe they both come in and you cash a plus a full 1,100. If only one comes in and the other doesn't, you're still going to be up 3.5 units. I think it's a good strategic way to approach this thing out there. Now, yeah, sure. Can you get Jamar Chase and parlay him with, Dodal? Yeah. But you're not going to see me come in here and give you guys a plus 195 touchdown. There's no return in that. Now, yeah, there's return in it for now, meaning, yeah, you just cash, but over the long haul, are you going to cash 1 of every 3? I mean, we've been fortunate to be cashing 2 of every 3, but I just think the stats, the metrics, I like Shoemaker, of course. Now, last but not least, if you want to play the fuck Mike's fantasy team formula, as I just mentioned, Jamar Chase is on my team. historically in primetime games, the other guys produce. That would be Higgins. Furthermore, I am playing CeeDee Lamb against CeeDee Lamb. And CeeDee Lamb hasn't done shit in how many weeks? So is that another guy that I would take a look at to potentially go out there and strike it? Yeah, especially given the fact that he's playing against my fantasy team. I just don't see Dallas getting to their team total. I don't see it. Now, maybe it's because Cincinnati's defense was that bad, and that's kind of what I alluded to in saying, where the hell have they spent all their money? You don't want to give it to your wide receivers. Who are you giving it to? I mean, overall points production, the other teams are scoring. Just don't buy into Dallas. Cooper Rush had his game. We're now well past the star player being out theory, which is where you kick in on the fades. Don't do it. Don't take Dallas. Don't fall for the trap. Now, maybe, we'll circle back at this thing and, hey, I fell for the trap here. You got a team that's in this position, scoring points, playing against a softball opponent here. It's like an FBS team going out to take down an FCS school. I never was really high on CeeDee Lamb in the first place. He's kind of beyond his best time out there. Ezekiel Elliott's going to be the guy? Come on. They just didn't bring him on the road. They don't need him. He's an attitude. He's a cancer in the locker room. Ferguson? Okay, but is that tight end going to go out there and bust up 100 yards and lead your guys all over the field every time you need him? No. It's going to be some shade ball shitbag like Turpin that comes out there and fires off a big 50-yard gain to bring you down into field goal position and fucking backdoor cover somebody on the first half. That's why I'm rolling in there with Cincy in the full game. Fuck Dallas. Not just personally, professionally, and everybody that likes him. So that's it. That's all I got for you guys. It's a couple of quick games, a couple of breakdowns out there, but let's have some fun tonight. Let's get that cash. We'll be back at it tomorrow, of course. Same time, same place, 6 p.m. with Sports Money, pre-gaming. Check my guy out, Ramon Scott, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with the morning steam. And just another shout out and thank you guys all. We've crossed over the 1,000 subscriber threshold. We got more to come. There's so much more in the works here for the next. We got a 30-day, a 60-day, a 90-day plan to get after it, and we're going to execute against it. So I appreciate all of you guys and girls. Shout out to Googly-Eyed UFC Ring Girl. Shout out to Ikiro. Shout out to Flea Mathis. Do I think Micah? Yeah, I do. I do think Micah gets a sack, sure. And I wouldn't mind his tackles and assist prop, too. If you can't get his sacks, get his tackles and assist. I do think there'll be some Chase Brown running all over the place. In fact, he scored pretty highly on the touchdown dashboards that I have. So another guy to take a look at. But I do think that leads to the ability to get in there. Ball on the ground means it's potential for the guy in the box to come out there and lock him down. Googly-Eyed Ringer likes the Bengals over 27.5. Shout out to M. Shout out to Bo Jackson in the house. Turnsy says, thanks for the gift. Good luck tonight, says Grandma Horse Racing. It's always so nice to see Grandma Horse Racing gifting a Sports Money membership. Look, I feel special and honored that I have. I don't have it here. Oh, here it is. That I have my own Grandma Horse Racing shot class. I heard Razor talking last night about how he doesn't have one, Grandma. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much, and thank you for the gifted Sports Money membership, helping us continue to build this community. What a way to bless our action and send us out on a high. Shout out to Marty Riggs. Grandma Horse Racing says, after the Chiefs win, I'm just asking the magic 8-ball. Shout out to Ramon Scott. Says, talent's probable tonight. Interesting note. Interesting note there from our guy. Morgan Spooner, appreciate you. Peter Gracia. Fernando Mendoza in the house, likes T. Higgins. Anytime touchdown. I can't complain. Can't complain. Just trying to give you guys some of the looks, the best ways that I looked at these games and saw them coming to our opportunities here. So good luck to everybody. Thank you guys again. We'll see you tomorrow. And on behalf of all of Sports Money, thank you guys so much. 1,000+ subscribers and continuing to grow on the daily. Shout out to all of you guys for helping us get there and continuing to bring your A game as we try to beat the books together. All have the same goal, all have the same vision. Now let's get that money tonight, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. We don't stop. Rain, sleet, or snow. Pre-gaming is good to go.
Snow, Curtis